If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started. Well, let's get started officially then. We are here. This is the YouTube for Real Estate room, and today we have our very special guest, Mr. Kyle Handy, coming to us from San Antonio, Texas, a real estate agent there. And what I want to say about Kyle is first of all, super nice guy, and that's most important. But I had actually researched his channel. Is one of the channels that whenever I talked several times about coming onto YouTube, doing a couple of months worth of research before I ever got started, because I really wanted to understand the platform and the back end. And so, Kyle doesn't teach a lot directly about YouTube, but what I learned from his videos is, consistency, style, background, edit, those types of things. You can learn something from everybody, no matter what industry they're in. You can, just observe if somebody has a strong following, good view counts. Look at their camera settings, their background, their lighting, their editing, their cutting, how are they keeping people's attentions? Those are the types of things. So I knew that whenever I came on board, Kyle popped up in some of my initial searches. And so, he does have a strong presence there. And so I was like, hey, plus on top of it, it helps that he's very personable and really just kind of like the guy next door. And then we actually got the chance to meet in person in Cabo, and that was really cool, at least for me, probably not so much for him, but I got the chance. We spent a day out on the boat and caught some mahi, ate it on the boat, cut that sucker up and put a little sauce on it, soy sauce and some lime juice, and we had a great day. So just got to know him a little bit better. And after that, we had some conversations. He kind of showed me a little bit behind the scenes with his YouTube channel. I shared with him some things that we're working on as well. So since then, we've been besties and just really hard to separate other than the fact that we live in two different cities. Other than that, it's been a very strong relationship. But so Kyle, welcome to the room today. How you doing, man?
Awesome, Levi. Thank you. Yeah, man, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction. And man, I'll tell you, it was mutual, man. When I saw you in Cabo, and I didn't know, necessarily a whole lot about your business at first, but literally after that first night, I looked you up. I was like, man, this guy is doing some big things really fast. And it really, it kind of opened my eyes to how quickly you can have success on YouTube if you're doing the right things. And even before that, I always kind of told people oh, it's going to be about a year, maybe 18 months, before you really start, seeing a whole lot of traction, because that's what it took for me. And but now I see, yourself, and then now I've also seen a couple other people that are having real success with YouTube in the real estate business within a matter of months. And it really was like, wow, man, that's pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, thanks for that. And then also we have joining us today, of course, is Chrissy. Chrissy is our client success manager at the Living in Dallas, Texas team and the Real Agents. She is the Jill of all trades. Anytime I've ever asked her, can you do this? She always says yes. So it's absolutely amazing because she can handle it all. But she's here as well. How you doing today, Chrissy?
I'm good, but I don't think I can crochet a blanket like you suggested last night. That's probably where my skill set ends.
Yeah, that's funny. We were on a call last night, and that's what I was explaining to everybody. I was like, yeah, she's never said no. Anytime I'm like, can you do this? She's like, yep, I can do that. And I'm like, okay, all right, well. And then I said, yep. One time I was really cold, so I asked her to crochet a blanket, and she's like, yep, I got that too. Knocked it out and sent it over. But so anyways, let's all right. So Kyle, let's just jump into it a little bit. Can you kind of give us a little bit of your origin story? What kind of attracted you to YouTube in general? Were you attracted to it? Did you see somebody else kind of doing it, or did you just decide, hey, this is a strategy I'm going to try out? Was it kind of intentional, or did you stumble upon it, or how did it all start for you?
Yeah, well, so my story is probably a little different than a lot of, real estate agents, but, I guess kind of what started it for me was, so I've been an agent since '08 now. So I mean, this is my 14th year. And and I was trying to really, focus on like growing out my team, like building my team more so than even like building out my real estate sales business. And I remember in 2018, it was, I was like starting to run ads to try and grow my team. And in the company I'm with, they basically, told me no more ads for doing that. And so then I was like, well, shoot, if I can't run ads, how else am I going to, grow my team? And um, and I thought, well, if I get on YouTube and if I show up, organically, or, if I get on Google and I do blog posts and I show up organically, they can't stop me from doing that, the company. And so honestly, that was like my first thought about it was like, let me show up organically and instead of running ads. And so that's kind of what got me going down the path of like, okay, well, let me create content. And one thing led to another. And, I kind of started out by making blog posts, and then after doing that for a little while and getting some good stuff happening there, I was like, well, shoot, Google's the number one search engine in the world. If I'm already going to be playing in that space and I'm already making content, why not play in the YouTube space, which is the number two content, number two search engine in the world, right behind Google, and have my stuff show up there too. And so that's kind of what took me down the path of YouTube. And I'll tell you though, to learn all of that, it's like you said, there wasn't like one specific path or like one person that I could follow. Like even when you said like, oh, I was looking at his videos and you'd pull a thing from here, pull a thing from there. Like that's how it was for me getting into YouTube, where I mean, I was watching Casey Neistat videos to learn about storytelling. I was watching Peter McKinnon videos to learn about like how to do camera stuff. I was watching other, real estate agents. I was watching Tom Ferry videos. I was watching like all sorts of different creators just to like pick up a bunch of different things, and I took little things from here and there, and that's kind of what developed my channel into what it is today, and which basically now is a channel that's dedicated to helping agents, generate more business.
So that's awesome. So what did you see? Did you see initial traction from the blog post? And yeah, let's start there. Did you see initial traction from blog post?
Yeah, so my blog did take off before my YouTube channel did, but that was also because I was putting more effort into blogging. My YouTube videos kind of started out as like a, just a place for me to kind of dump all of my Zoom recordings, like with my team. I would do a training on Zoom and it would be recorded. I'd throw it onto YouTube. They weren't like SEO optimized. They weren't, at all optimized really. And I still have a lot of those videos up on my channel. So it's like always good to go back and see like, this is where it started. Like I didn't have it all together, in the beginning.
Gotcha. Okay, so what about now? Like whenever you're, are you incorporating YouTube videos now into your blogs? Do you embed any of those videos, or are you just doing straight text and basically writing on that?
Yeah, so my process now, so basically I create the blog post first, which almost becomes like the script for my YouTube video. And so I'll publish the blog post and then I'll record the video, publish the video on YouTube, and then I'll go back to the blog post and embed the video back onto my blog.
Gotcha. Okay, and are you writing these blog posts, or do you have a writer?
Yeah, so it depends on the topic. Certain blog posts, I will use a writer. Most of them, like if they're real technical or like you know, something where like it would actually need like a lot of research or at least a lot of experience, like personal experience, then I write them myself. But certain easier ones or things where there's like more information readily available, I've definitely been able to use like a writer from time to time, or somebody that like I can at least give the direction to of like, hey, here's the topic, here's my sub headlines, this is like give the direction for the article, but then just basically have the person go out and like flesh it out.
Okay, and where did you find this person?
So there's a couple different sources. I actually use a couple different writers from like different things, but I've used Writer Access as a source in the past. I've also used Upwork as a source as well, just like where you can get like virtual assistants. So the main thing is like I look for people that are from U.S. Speak English, that is their native language. just because that way it's a little bit easier to make sure that, that like the grammar and stuff is all correct.
Gotcha. Okay. So what now? I mean, as far as YouTube for yourself now, you mentioned before you weren't really optimizing or doing anything like that. I mean, do you look at SEO now or optimizing, or do you work on any of that?
Oh, big time. Like now I don't even make a video without making sure that it's SEO, friendly beforehand. I mean, that was a mistake that I made, long ago. Like, I mean, because I've been on YouTube for a little while, like even when I had, mostly just like my sales channel, and I was like uploading listing videos, I was just making random videos, and like like my channel never took off, and but back then I didn't really know why, and I didn't know anything about SEO back then. And so it was just like, I just was like, well, it just doesn't work, like that's kind of my thought about it. But now it's like, no, like I know there's a process to like becoming successful on YouTube. And so like all of my stuff that I do is very like, strategic. Like I mean, because it takes a lot of time to make content, and I don't want to, just spin my wheels for no reason. So I am strategic. I start with keyword research, up front. I figure out like which videos that I want to make, to begin with. And then, I've got a big list of topics and ideas. And then I just go to town starting to create the actual content for that.
Okay, cool. And so what have you seen in the change from that whenever you went from not really doing much to as far as, working more on being a little bit more intentional and strategic about it?
Yeah, I mean, it was night and day. I mean, it didn't like all of a sudden my channel start, getting tons of subscribers and stuff, but I could see like the writing on the wall. Like I could start seeing like, oh, like this video is showing up in search now. Like, and that was my main thing, is like I wanted to go after search results, up front. Like, I'm not like, at least in my space, I feel like for what I'm doing, like getting on the watch page, getting on, all this kind of stuff is eventually I will kind of focus, or I'll work more onto that. But my biggest thing was like, let me get an audience. Let me build an audience physically, manually first, by like targeting search terms that I know people are searching for, trying to rank, in the top 3, top 5 of each of those, getting an audience, building up subscribers. And then once I have like kind of a built-in audience, I can start making videos that maybe more speak to like what I want to actually do versus just doing it for the algorithm and doing it for like search. But in the beginning, I want to have an audience, because if you try and like, you might make the very best video when you're just starting your channel, and it might be like super, relevant, it might be super like valuable to people. But like, if you don't have an audience to begin with, and if it's not something that's like search friendly, like that video that know that's good may not ever do anything, just because it's not really it's not really set up to do well from the start. And so my thing was like, let me go the other way with it. I'm going to just, kind of make videos that I know, there's a demand for already, build up my audience, get some loyalty, and then I can start going after things that like I might want to create down the road.
Yeah, I love that. So that's what I like to call optimizing for the algorithm in the beginning, then optimizing for your audience, once
Yep.
you establish that your audience, because yeah, starting out, you don't have an audience.
Right.
So, and if you make, I think this is where agents and really people on YouTube in general really struggle with, because even if you think about let's just say a random creator, a random creator, wants to start their YouTube channel. It's very difficult to get found if you make content that you want to make, because then you're trying to find you're trying to get people to find you very specifically, right? It's not out there. They've got to find someone. They got to find you. They got to like your personality. But at the same time, if it's not optimized, it's going to be much harder to be found in the beginning. So if you find what people are already searching for, it makes it a lot easier for them to find you initially. And then as your audience develops and grows, you make content, for that. And we were kind of talking about that a little bit earlier today, also as far as reverse engineering that process. So,
Yep.
somebody mentioned today to me about, well, I don't have, the time it takes to research and, write out a video and all that stuff. And I said, well, for me, I just make videos now based on what I believe the audience wants, because of all of the feedback I get now. And then we optimize the video to whatever it is I talk about, so
Yep.
we'll develop this description, we'll develop the titles and all that stuff after the fact. So now, because I've got a better sense, we're working with clients, I'm working with my team, I'm out there in the field, you could say, and also creating videos and then reading the comments, because the audience is established, I got a sense of what they want to see next. So I can create that and then reverse engineer the optimization.
That's right.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, Annette, I was trying to bring you up, Annette. I couldn't. So you might have to leave and come back if you want to come up and jump on stage and ask Kyle any questions. And if anybody else has any questions that they feel free to come up on stage, and then you can ask your questions there. Just raise your hand. So my man, Matt, how you doing today, Matt?
Hey, sorry, I didn't get the memo about the time change.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Well, I think that's we had to adjust the call today just a little bit to accommodate Kyle. So he's got a hard stop for his weekly call, so we had to push it back a little
No
bit, but
worries.
or actually move it forward. But all good.
Yeah,
So
yeah, thanks for being here, Kyle.
Yeah,
hey,
definitely.
Matt, have you seen Kyle on YouTube at all, or have you follow or familiar with him?
I
Or
haven't in the
it's
last
okay.
year, only because I have not been watching nearly as much YouTube as I used to. But it's great to
Okay,
meet
so
you.
you found him before. Okay. Anything? I'm not sure when you jumped in here, but any questions off the top of your head that you might have?
I mean, it kind of goes back to the point you were just making, Levi, because this morning we were talking about Instagram and consistency in video and everything. So I'd be curious to hear, Kyle, any productivity hacks, anything we as real estate, because you know how busy we are, especially in this market, anything that you've found super helpful to like maximize your time, and obviously the return on that time.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Matt. And actually, it's funny to hear too, just that you say like, I don't watch as much YouTube videos today as I did. Like, that's a great thing. Like, because I remember, man, when I first was getting started, like I used to watch YouTube nonstop, and then I heard something. I forget who had said it, but it was like a quote that stuck with me, and it basically said, create more than you consume. And that was always just like, because like I was just consuming content but not creating it. And then I ended up like just living by that, and I was like, all right, I need to create more content than just like watching videos all the time. So kudos to you on that. But yeah, as far as like some productivity hacks, like I mean, for me, one of the things that I think is a huge hack is like, is being able to like cover all of your bases. So like for me, I do the blog posts, I do YouTube, and I've got up my podcast. But literally, I take one piece of content and I turn it into those three. And then I know too that, obviously I could also turn it into more than that if I wanted to go short form and, turn it into some reels or TikTok or whatever. I haven't gotten quite that far yet, but that's kind of like the next path. But literally, I mean, for me, since I'm already creating searchable content for YouTube, like it makes sense that I would also like if they're searching for it on YouTube, there's a chance that there's an audience on Google searching for the same thing. And so why not for me, I start with the blog post and then I turn that into a script for my video. And then I rip the audio off of that to make it into a podcast. Or I mean, I rip the video off of it. So I just have the audio and I turn that into a podcast. And in that way, number one, like I'm getting so much more like efficiency of like whatever I'm doing. Cause, for me, I can hire like an assistant to kind of do that whole process. So I just make one thing, but then it turns it into three. And, so that was like a big thing. Plus, then too, like coming up with the script first and like coming up with the idea first was really helpful for me because I used to do it the opposite way where I would make the video first and then I would try and like transcribe it and make it into like a usable blog post. But like what would end up happening is for me, because I'm super long-winded, I'd make a YouTube video with no script and it'd turn into like a 40-minute like monologue, which nobody wants to watch that on YouTube. And then I would try transcribing that and it would be like a 20,000 word article. And then I'd have to try and like cut that down. And I was like, well, why don't I flip this over? And like now I know if I write a 2,000 word post, that's going to be about 12 minutes on YouTube, and it's perfect. So now I just focus on that front end, make the blog post first. That way, because what's interesting, and a lot of people don't know this, but like a lot of times people think like, oh, blogging is dead or whatever. Now, I mean, keep in mind, I probably do have, I don't know, maybe 40% more blog posts than I do YouTube videos. But I mean, as far as like my blog, I get over 100,000 monthly visitors on my blog, and I get about 40,000 unique viewers on my YouTube channel every month. So I mean, I get a lot more blog visitors than I do YouTube visitors, which most people see my YouTube and they're like, oh my gosh, he must be doing well. He's got, subscribers, all this and that. But like the cool thing about blogging is it's under the radar. Like, nobody knows, unless I tell you what my stats are, like nobody knows what kind of traffic it's getting, but I can tell you I'm generating leads out the wazoo from that. And then of course I'm getting them from YouTube. And so I know this is mostly a YouTube call, and I wouldn't be saying like to do blogging if it wasn't for the fact that you're already creating the content. It's really not that much more difficult to set up both. And once you have that process, like once you have your site set up, and that's a pretty easy way to put a blog post on. It's not like you have to create a website every single day. You create the website one time and then you just add blog posts to it. And it can be like that for me has been the biggest productivity hack, because I can get so much more traffic now being on both of those platforms. Plus, like my call to actions can be a little bit easier on my website than it can be on my YouTube channel, just because with YouTube all you get is links in the description, whereas on a blog you can add pop-ups, you can put all sorts of different things, you get your email list going, lots of good stuff you can do there. And so that was a good productivity hack. The other thing that I like too is like I love batching content. So for me, when I record YouTube videos, I usually record like anywhere from 3 to 6 videos at a time, and I literally will just set a bunch of shirts aside to the side of me, and I already know what my topics are. I already have the scripts on them, and literally I just go to town recording, and then I upload my content, I send it over to my video editor. Video editor edits it, and then I get it back and it's ready to publish. And so I think that's the biggest thing is like most people, if they're like, oh, you're making I publish 3 videos a week on my channel, a lot of people struggle to do 1 a week, and it's like, but I can do 3 a week with that maybe takes me about an hour and a half of my time per week, and that's because literally that's all it takes to record. Now getting the scripts and stuff ready, usually it'll take me anywhere from like an hour to 3 to 4 hours per blog post, just depending on like how much research I want to do and that type of thing. But if all that stuff is ready ahead of time, the actual recording for YouTube doesn't take very long.
I love it, man. Yeah, thanks for the info. I feel like everyone has the time excuse, and I'm one of them. So, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, Kyle, that sounds like I heard an hour and a half of recording, an hour and a half of blog post writing, maybe 2. It sounds like are you doing the 4-hour work week here? With video and blogging?
Man, here's the thing is I still spend a lot of time doing a lot of different things. I would say though it's that 90-10 rule. Like the stuff that brings in 90% of the results of my business takes 10% of my time, which is like the 4-hour work week. But I'm constantly always like looking for like new opportunities, new ways to do things. And so like because of that, of course I do spend more than 4 hours like just doing stuff like other random stuff. But it's mostly like it's not necessarily like that it's bringing in the results, but it's like maybe making my business be more efficient for the future, or like learning a new strategy or optimizing something different. So I'm always spending other time doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, literally like the stuff that moves the needle, like the content creation and the follow-up from it, is like 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours a week.
Well, yeah, of course, absolutely. But I think what I'm really hearing you saying is that if you look at the scope of your week, making videos is the least amount of time you spend on an activity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep. And that's the argument that most people make, is that they don't have time to make videos.
Yeah.
Right. Because they feel like it has to be an 8-hour-a-day job. I'm not really sure what the mindset is there, but they always say, well, I don't have time to make a couple of 15-minute videos,
Yeah.
even though it's going to give them a big return.
Oh yeah, no, big time. And I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, in the beginning, I'm sure, it did take me longer. It probably does take a lot of people a little bit longer in the beginning, but you got to like push through it because it does get easier, and you kind of like develop your voice, you develop your systems, and things that might have taken, maybe let's say it would have taken me 10 hours, in the past, like now it only takes me an hour and a half or two. But I mean, it was just like the doing it over and over that got it to be much more efficient. And so I mean, yeah, but it's worth it, like absolutely, like when you put it like the value of like, you know like even if it does take a little bit longer in the beginning, to where it's like, okay, well, I got to work a little bit more this week, it's absolutely worth it. And just know that it will get easier over time to where it's not always going to take that long. So
Yeah, and I will say I think Matt has one upped you on the productivity hack because he doesn't even change shirts. He's got this one polo that's white with blue stripes, and he records 100 reels in that thing.
That's right.
dude, I've thought of that. I've honestly thought like, man, like this is a lot of work changing shirts, man. Like I should just wear the same black t-shirt every single time. But for me, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's like, maybe it's probably in my head, but I'm like, for real estate, I know a lot of people wear suits. Like I'm not wearing a suit on my videos, but I was like, at least I gotta like maybe not wear like a t-shirt and a ball cap, but so yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to just get out of my own head and just do that, because it would be way more efficient, to not have to constantly think about changing shirts and stuff.
Matt knows I like giving him a hard time, but uh, all right, guys. Well, we are here today with Kyle Handy, the YouTube real estate rock star. So if anybody has any questions, I invite you guys. This is a great time for you to come up on stage and to, talk with people that are other than myself. I mean, I know you don't want to just hear me talk the whole time. So, this is a great time to come up, get your questions answered, get a different perspective, get a different viewpoint. That's why I love bringing different creators in here. Again, just to chop it up, change it up a little bit. But at the same time, this is the thing, is that I think Clubhouse is a tremendous opportunity to, for these, to open these types of doors. I've met so many people and developed so many relationships here with you, or with all of you. And then when you meet people in person at a conference, you feel like you already know them. Or in Kyle's case, like I'd already watched a lot of his videos, so I already felt like I knew him. And so that just opens up more and more doors and opportunities. So I invite anybody to come up on stage, ask some questions. So Kyle, let's go into, I guess you mentioned in the beginning you might have been a little bit more intentionality. Let's just say starting today, a lot of
Mhm.
people in this room are just starting channels, or about to start their channel, or maybe they're a couple of months in. What are two, maybe three things that you feel would really help them getting, starting out in their journey? What are a couple of key things that are really ideal on that new channel?
Yeah. I think, some of the first things would be, number one, like I would hire a video editor from day one. Like, I mean, I spent a lot of time like learning how to edit videos, which honestly, like looking back now, I'm like, man, that was kind of a distraction. Like, just because one, I'm like kind of like a perfectionist. Like I want to make sure that it looks good and everything. And now knowing what I know, like I pay $60 per video to edit my videos, and they come out better than what I could have done spending, a year or more trying to learn it, and then all this time trying to do it. And I'm like, shoot, $60 a video, like, the ROI on this stuff is so high that it's like, why even bother doing that? So like, number one, I probably would just start out by doing that. And then I think, another thing is like having a plan, before you just like jump right in and just start doing stuff, like, kind of, yeah, building out a plan, like figure out like, be strategic, like go identify some keyword opportunities for your area, which nowadays, I mean, it's honestly not that difficult to find out like what videos kind of perform the best in most markets. But like, I mean, you can go to a lot of different YouTube like agent channels and see like what videos are performing well. It's like pros and cons of moving to San Antonio, top 5 things that I wish that I knew before I moved to San Antonio, or all these different titles. And you see like you could go to like a bunch of different ones in a bunch of different cities, and literally like make a list of like, okay, these are the first 30 videos that I want to make, and then just start creating the scripts or the outline. Like you don't always have to do a full script. If you're not going to do the blog side, I mean, you could just make an outline. That way, it at least keeps you on track a little bit. and then start recording, and like, don't make an excuse of like, oh, well, my camera's not great or whatever. You can, I've known people that do stuff with their iPhone and in a little lavalier, $20-$30 lavalier mic. You sit in front of a window so your lighting is decent. Obviously you got to do it during the day, but like you can make it work. So I mean, I think just most people try and find an excuse of why not to, versus like make an excuse for why they should. And so so just pretty much like, whatever you got, like, make the best of it. If you want to go out and if you got money to invest and you want to get a nice DSLR camera or something to up the production, then do that. But you don't need to, so it'd just be like, here's the video here's the videos I'm gonna make. I'm gonna use what I've got. I'm gonna get a video editor, pay them, $60 a video, and then I'm gonna start just publishing to YouTube. And I mean, there's a little bit on the optimization side for YouTube, as far as like descriptions, tags, thumbnails, titles. But most of that, like, once you've done a few videos, you'll kind of get it down. Like, but I would look, do some research. Like, that's the thing. Like, you can kind of like look into and see like, all right, how should I do this to make best use of it? But even if you mess that up in the beginning, and let's say you're 20, 30, 40 videos in, you can always go back and change up your thumbnails. You can change up your titles. You can do stuff like that, and it's not going to like, crush your channel. And so I mean, really, it just mostly be about publishing, and then go through the process a bunch of times, and then you learn things as you're going through that process, and then you might have to go back and change, or maybe you'll find that you nailed the process from the get-go and you just keep going. But that's really, I think, if you're a new creator, my goal, like when I first started, like actually purposely doing YouTube, was, hey, I want to get my first 50 videos out as quick as I can, because I knew that it would take a little bit of like, getting some content out there before, like, I couldn't just put 4 videos and expect to be successful. So I knew that I wanted to get a decent amount of videos out there so I had a chance to start like getting something. So like, that should be most people's first thought, is like, how do I get out a good quality, doesn't need to be perfect quality, how do I get out my first 30 good quality videos as soon as possible, efficiently? And I think, like, once you kind of start thinking through that, that's your plan, then you start going after it.
Yeah, I think that's all very, very sound advice. Let me ask you this, Kyle. Have you ever spent $3,000 on marketing for your business and it returned you absolutely nothing?
Oh yeah, I've spent a lot of money and have it return nothing. I mean, definitely.
So that's funny that, that's what I wanted to really highlight. As you said in the beginning, what you would have done differently is probably hire an editor versus learning it from the, which is something that we always preach and teach to people, because I just don't think as a real estate agent you should be learning how to edit videos. I mean, it's not something that is a good use of your time. And so if I had $3,000 to my name and that was it, especially if I was a brand new real estate agent, I would put all that into video editing, because I know I can create content, and that could easily get you 2 to 3 videos a week for about 90 to 100 days. And I believe that's what it really takes on a YouTube real estate channel to start turning over a business. So if I was down to my last 3,000 or starting out, and I had a $3,000 limit on my credit card or whatever the case may be, I would put my money towards editing versus postcards or a magazine ad or anything else that really, that type of stuff. You have to be extremely consistent and spend a lot of money up front to get any of that going. That's why most people typically don't do that stuff until later on in their career, and then really build out that consistency. But what do you think about that? Would you go along with that, Kyle, or you got a different thought process?
100%. Nope. That I echo that. That absolutely. $3,000. I would have that for, because the other thing too is like, yeah, that'll be a big excuse of why agents don't, do stuff, is they're like, oh, I don't know how to edit. It's like, well, take that excuse away. Cause trust me, like, that is easily solvable. That's just a money thing. And I mean, I know sometimes like money is an issue, but like at the same time though, like you said, you've got to find a way. Cause like, the return will be there, and $3,000 for fit, basically at that point, that could potentially be, your first 30, 50 videos. Once you do that, then yeah, you won't have the money problem anymore. So, Yep. I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah, because you could spend that on postcards, and it's like once that postcard run goes out, it's gone. I mean, that's
Exactly.
like that's a one time thing. You could
Yep.
spend, I mean, a magazine ad is going to be anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a month, you know, and depending on the size and the location in the magazine ad, that's gone after 1 month. You
Yep.
know, I mean, whatever else you want to throw it at. I mean, marketing is marketing. YouTube, as far as I know, is the only true evergreen opportunity that can have, you know, and this is what we also talked about, is that we've got a video that it's almost a year old, and it's just gotten a brand new 20,000 views in the last month. Like, it's, you can even look in the analytics, it has like a tick up, like it's hitting a new hockey stick after almost a year. And I have yet to see any of my Facebook videos, Instagram videos, or anything resurface or resurge, let alone after 3 days. I mean, usually after 3 days, those videos they're done. You know, I get all the views in the first 24, 48 hours. And after that, I still have not had a Instagram video come to life. And so, you know, this is something that you're building a library, a content library that is going to be there working for you constantly. And that first video you put out will only, you know, can only gain more and more over time. So I do believe it's the best use of your money there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's the amazing thing. And it's like a good feeling just knowing that like all the efforts that I'm doing are like stacking up on top of each other. Like I don't know, it just helps me like rest easy at night knowing that like everything I did today, it's going to be, you know, in use for tomorrow, but then also 2 years, and everything that I did 2 years ago is still working for me today. And that's how you're able to scale things up. And versus, you know, I mean, I ran a lot of Google ads, Facebook ads, all that kind of stuff back in the day. And um and I never felt as solid about it. You know, I knew that as soon as I stopped, you know, paying that bill, you know, everything would stop for me. And it was never like a secure feeling. And there's already enough, you know, insecurity when it comes to the real estate business, that any stability you can force into your business, I think helps you as an agent.
How long have you been on the platform now?
YouTube.
Yep.
um I mean, I started my channel a while ago, like in 16, but I think, you know, I really only started consistently uploading probably like right around 19, middle of 19.
Okay, so let's just take that for example, because I think you brought up a really great point. Especially even if you had $3,000, I think a lot of people right now could say, "Oh, I could buy a ton of Facebook leads," but we also know that Facebook leads convert extremely low.
Yep.
So, you know, and you made that point. It's like once you stop paying that bill, the ads stop. You know, and same thing with making phone calls or door knocking. The second you hang up the phone, your lead generation stops. So plus, you know, if you're buying iBuyer ads or Zillow ads or Realtor ad, you know, or leads or things like that, they change one thing. They can increase their price. They can, you know, they dictate those terms. All of that can change overnight. Let me ask you, Kyle, and since 2016/2019, have you seen really big changes in, let's say, the algorithm, or have you seen your videos actually gain more traction, and have you had older videos that are, you know, regaining surgence, and you know, have you seen the platform really working more to your benefit as it gets better and better, or do you see YouTube like, you know, just killing your videos, cutting you off and deleting them, and you know, you don't get access to them anymore?
No, it's yeah, it's the first one. I mean, basically, as stuff, you know, as I keep putting out more content, my old videos do even better. And you know, it's so it's like, yeah, like those first few videos when I first published them only had like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 views, you know, like in the single digits. And now, like I publish a video and, you know, get hundreds of views in the first few days. And then even my old videos now, like like I know certain ones that literally like out of nowhere, like, you know, they still weren't getting that many, and then all of a sudden they just start spiking, and then now they keep going. And you just never know when it's going to happen. But yeah, that's basically the way that the algorithm works. It's like as you keep proving to YouTube that, hey, I'm here to stay, like I'm here to commit to your platform, I feel like they start to commit to you, you know, in a way.
Oh, I love that. probably a good relationship advice too.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can make the commitment, you'll find that they make the commitment right back. So
That's right. That's right.
that's good. That's good. So let me ask you this: Do you do some live streams, right?
Yeah, every week. I'm about to go in here in about 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So let's go another 5 minutes or so. I want to give you a little ease time to prep for that. So are
Yeah.
you using StreamYard?
So funny you ask. I'm actually this week I'm still using Ecamm with Restream, but I think the following week I am switching over to StreamYard, um, because yeah, I've liked I like Ecamm. It gives you some more options and features, but I do a lot of interviews on my live stream, and for some reason, man, people's audio just it's like not syncing up very well, and I can't get it to fix. I've went with support, so but yeah, StreamYard. I've used it. I've tested it and that will be the one that I'm gonna start to use indefinitely now.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you for some tips because we just signed up for StreamYard
Oh, there you
yesterday.
go.
We're gonna try. Yeah, we're gonna try. So I've done a couple of lives on the channel on our real estate channel, but I just went through the back end of YouTube. So now we got signed up for StreamYard last night, and I really like it. I was able to program everything through the back end of StreamYard. It automatically uploaded it to YouTube, and I can invite. It's like Chrissy can come on there and co-host with me.
Yep.
So I'm excited to kind of experiment tonight. So if anybody wants to see a train wreck, then you can try go to Living in Dallas, Texas on YouTube and see our client, our real estate agent live stream tonight. See how that goes. But yeah, so I don't know. I wanted to test it out. I was going to ask you a couple of quick questions, but I'll be curious.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get together in a week or two after you've used it for a couple of weeks and share some best practices.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I will say just from, because I've played around with it. I also can tell you pricing wise. I mean, like the setup I used with Ecamm and Restream. I mean, that was like $140 a month, and
Oh,
because you're basically using Restream or you're using Ecamm as like your capture software. So like that's where you have like all of your, different overlays, and you can kind of like switch between scenes and stuff. And that's $40 a month. And then Restream is like the hosting. Like that's where it actually sends it out to different places like YouTube or Facebook or wherever you want to send your live stream to. And I was paying $100 a month for that. And so whereas StreamYard does basically both of them I'm on the $25 a month plan. So I mean it's way more efficient, way in my I'm sure that the difference with StreamYard is it doesn't have as much customizability, I will say, as Ecamm. Like I could do a little bit more stuff with it, but as I've been messing with StreamYard, there hasn't been anything that like I do that is like gonna limit me. I mean, if I was like a massive streamer and all this stuff, there might be some things that like I'm like, oh, like I wish that I could do that or this. But I think StreamYard for most of our purposes as real estate agents and just trying to connect with our audience, I think it's more than fine for what we need. And that is one thing that I will say to you, because I mean I've been doing live streams now for I'd say the better part of probably 5 months, 4, 5, 6 months, something like that. I do it every single week. Um, and the cool thing about it is like, because most other social medias, YouTube or Instagram, Facebook, you have like a interactive kind of dialogue and it's, with your audience. YouTube, I mean, outside of the comments, it's harder to do that. And so that's where I found that doing a live stream weekly with them, it really, creates like a stickiness with you and your audience, and it keeps people wanting to come back because now they feel like they do have a relationship with you. You bring their questions up onto the screen, you answer them, you start to see some of the same people, and you acknowledge them on the call like, hey, thanks for jumping on, so and so. And so I think it's that is one of the coolest things for my channel that I've done this year was integrated a live stream, and I do think that it's been a key contributor to kind of my growth this year. So
okay, that's great. That's what I was going to ask you, but thanks for clarifying. And well, you got time for two questions. Now we have
yeah.
the latecomers coming up here at the last minute. Whenever I said, all right, we'll give you the 5 minute notice. And so, what's up, Jen? I want to get to you guys real quick. So, if you got a quick question for Kyle, he does have to jump here within probably the next 2 minutes, or just stay as long as you can, Kyle.
Yeah.
And so let's. Jen, are you there? And do you have a question for Mr. Kyle?
I am. Hey, everyone. Great information. Thank you so much for being here, Kyle. I feel like we hear a lot that YouTube isn't a great space for property videos. Do you ever post property videos, and do you have any tips on sort of making them get more traction, I guess? Or is it just like a no, don't do it? I'd love to hear from any of y'all.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I will say, as far as from what I see from property videos, like if you weaved it into some of your videos, it might be okay. Now, again, I focus mostly on SEO and search, and it is kind of difficult to do like a specific like single listing, property and have that be like searchable, unless it was like a highly desirable neighborhood, and maybe you almost kind of did like a neighborhood explainer while you're kind of talking about that single property. It would have to be pretty like strategic, in my opinion, to like have that like really do well in the long term. It's not a bad thing to like do it to like as like a proof of like, hey, this is what I do for my listings. Of course, it can help you get more listings when you can show during your listing appointment, like, hey, this is the video that we created for my past client, and look at the quality that we put out there. But in my opinion, I mean, I feel, and Levi might disagree, he's got a lot more experience on the sales side of it than I do. But as far as what I see, like those types of videos, those listing videos, they do real well on like the social sites, especially, I mean, if you want to promote them or whatever. If you want to have like a different channel on your YouTube, where you just put listing videos, that might, you could do that. But the one thing that I'll caution agents is anytime that you do videos that are a little outside of your norm of like what is your bread and butter, of like if you're getting a lot of subscribers because they're coming into for your like your valuable, like helpful kind of stuff, like let's say you're doing city reviews or neighborhood reviews, and then you put out a video that's like doesn't really apply to a lot of people, that it can signal to YouTube that like, hey, like what's going on here, like all like this video didn't hit very good. And so that's the main thing is, I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, if it still somewhat appeals to your audience, it's not the end of the world if you're like sprinkling those in, like if you don't want to create a whole separate channel for them. But um but most of the time I think that there's a better way to promote those type of videos. I'm not saying, and I definitely think that it's worth doing them. I'm not, in this market now, like video is still king, but from like the YouTube aspect and getting actual like new leads, I don't know that there's a lot of value doing it the way that I'm kind of talking about doing it. Would you agree with that, Levi?
Yeah, I think that's right on the money. If it's under $1 million, I think it's better to incorporate it in a neighborhood setting towards the end or something if you're going to go inside, because I just haven't seen any property or listing video under $1 million really do anything, because I don't think people are interested in that, and everybody can look at that stuff on Zillow all day long. But if it's over $1 million, I think that's where your listing videos, if it's dedicated to that property, when you have 5,000-6,000 square feet to go through, and usually million or multi-million dollar properties are unique in every way, as to where $500,000 homes in the suburbs are pretty much all the same, then that is a different viewpoint. So I think it depends on the price point, and just like Kyle said, searchability and finding it. I mean, just nobody's like saying, oh, let me find a 500,000 3-bedroom 2-bath home, in Dallas.
Yeah,
And so I've never seen them perform well.
agreed.
So, all right, you got time does that help out,
Yeah,
Jen?
I can do one more.
Okay. Marina, how are you?
I'm good. How are y'all? Quick question on the live streaming. My channel's about a month and a half old. Would you recommend just maybe doing like a YouTube live, or just jumping in and doing like StreamYard if somebody wanted to go to do live streaming?
Yeah, well, I mean, the nice thing with StreamYard is, I mean, so StreamYard, you can go and publish it to YouTube. I think it gives you more customizability, like than just going straight on YouTube. Like I've actually never gone live just straight from YouTube's platform. I don't know. I think, I mean, obviously you can pull in like your webcam, and it would basically just be like, one, or you could do it from your phone too, and it would just be like that. But if you wanted like a little bit more like production value, where you can put some of your branding and stuff like that in there, I think that, doing something like StreamYard can certainly make it look a little bit more professional for not a whole lot more. And at the same time, when you're doing that, if you wanted to also stream it to like your Facebook or something like that, you can do that through StreamYard. Whereas if you're doing that just on YouTube, then you're basically just doing it on YouTube. So I would say look into into StreamYard. I mean, I think for, they even have a plan. I think it's like $10 a month or something. So they have like a $10 and a $25. It's worth it in my opinion. Plus, you can also, have people come on as guests, like do like interview style type of things. You can also pre-record videos and actually upload them and then have them stream as if they are live. Like, so like maybe if you want to do something that's kind of live, but like maybe it's off the cuff, but you just don't want to like do it live. Like, so like if there might be like internet issues or you're just actually like nervous about going live or whatever, StreamYard lets you kind of do that as well. So it gives you some options there. But yeah, I mean, so I mean, going live though, I think even if your channel's only a month old, start it out and start building your audience, start connecting with people. And pretty soon, I think that you'll start to see some results from that, some success from it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, and actually, I just signed up last night. So there's a free version, and that's good enough if you're just like a single YouTuber, just want to get started. And then I signed up I just did the year package because that knocks it down to $20 a month, total. So I just paid $240 for the year, and that allowed me to add Chrissy as a co-host. It allows you to do your branding, customize it, all that extra stuff. So we're gonna give that a try. And there's actually a third level, but we're going to try the second level first and see how that goes. So
Nice.
Cool. All right. Well, Mia, one more call. You got time? 1 minute? Mia, you got to make it quick if you're going to ask a quick question.
Sure.
How are you?
Hi, it's totally quick. If
All right.
I were going to do 2 days of YouTube, like post it 2 different times, what days would be the best for me?
Ooh, good question. I like to post, like if I was going to do 2 days, I'd probably do like maybe like a Monday and Thursday, so that way your audience has a little bit of time in between your videos. Friday, Saturday, Sunday seem to perform the worst for like my audience. Now, but that's the thing that you'll start to see, like as you start to have more and more videos out there, YouTube is nice at showing you the analytics, and yours might be different because like my audience is mostly agents. And agents are usually out selling Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're not really by their computers or like looking up content. Whereas home buyers and home sellers may very well be, maybe that's the time that they're looking at stuff. I'm not exactly sure. But for me, I like to at least, if I'm doing 2 videos a week, it'd be Monday, Thursday. For me, I do 3 videos a week, so I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But just put out, as consistent of videos as you can, and then use the analytics to kind of direct what you should do in the future.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You've
You
been great.
bet.
You and Levi. Levi is like my God. So
Oh, awesome.
Thank you, Mia. I love the new profile pic too. It's good to see your face. You're so tiny on that other one.
yeah, well, you can't find a good picture of me or there's not. You know what? I did get over looking at myself. And if you look at the Instagram that I did for my birthday, you'll see I got over it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you for sharing and just being so kind to answer everyone's questions. And how can people connect with you? I guess on Instagram, even though you're a YouTuber. Or
Yeah. Well, for sure, that's probably the best ways. Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Real Kyle Handy, and you can basically just send me a direct message on there. Or, obviously you can follow my blog, kylehandy.com, sign up for my email list, and I always send updates, or my YouTube channel, Kyle Handy. And I still answer every single one of my comments. So if you put a comment in any of my videos, you'll get a response. So.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk soon. I look forward to seeing you again. I'm sure you had a good time with Travis the other night, did you?
I did, man. It was good seeing him here in San Antonio. So yeah, we had a great time, and I'm sure we'll be hanging out again here pretty soon.
Was he wearing his sleeveless cowboy shirt
I
at
didn't
dinner?
see him in that. When he came and saw me, he had sleeves, but I
Okay.
think for the concert he did the sleeveless. And
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That's good to know he dressed up for your dinner. So
That's right. That's right.
cool. All right, man. Thanks. And yeah, have a great day and talk soon.
You too, Levi. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Well, I think that really is a great way to sum up the room and end it there. So we appreciate you all joining us today, and we should be back on schedule tomorrow or next week, I should say, next week. And so I appreciate. I've been having quite a few travels lately, so just trying to squeeze this in where it's most appropriate. But also, find us on. You can find us on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, the podcast, everything. If you also want to listen offline as well. And so, see you next week. And thank you all for joining us and have a great day. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching all for free, schedule a call at 5starstrategycall.com.